Now, we have some breaking news regarding the prosecution against Don Lemon because one of the individuals that helped him prepare for this disruption in a place of worship has turned himself in. This happened actually earlier this week. I guess finally everybody's catching up to it. A Temple student surrenders in church protest case involving Don Lemon. His name is Jerome D'Angelo Richardson from St. Paul, turned himself in February 2nd, facing charges for aiding Don Lemon before the January 18th demonstration at City's Church, where protesters chanted against ICE and confronted the pastor over his deportation officer role. Prosecutors cite Richardson's social media and court records to challenge Lemon's claims of journalistic coverage. Both are among 9 defendants charged with conspiracy against rights and interfering with religious freedom. I think the biggest thing we have to pay attention in this entire case is the use of the FACE Act. It was used to prosecute pro-lifers and send them to prison for peacefully protesting, might I add, at a Planned Parenthood clinic. Can they use the same statute for this particular situation? Well, I guess we're about to find out. But first, let's hear more on this update. Watch this.
Also developing this morning, a new federal arrest is drawing attention to what prosecutors say was Don Lemon's role in planning and recording the disturbing protest of demonstrators storming that Minnesota church service. A Temple University student has now surrendered on federal charges, admitting he helped Don Lemon with logistics and local contacts ahead of that anti-ICE protest. Jerome Richardson, a political science senior, turned himself in and is accused of conspiring to interfere with religious worship. Court records and social media posts show Richardson describing himself as assisting Don Lemon in the days leading up to the protest. Lemon, who claims he was just reporting, was arrested last week and released, but prosecutors say this new arrest undercuts that defense, suggesting planning and not just passive coverage.
All right, number one, I think that's a bombshell update regarding his particular case. Number two, Harmeet Dillon, the actual attorney heading up this civil rights violation and the case against Lemon, she also doubled down and said it's in his own words. I mean, the actual evidence. What more do you need? And then number three, this is a true test about the FACE Act. The previous administration used it to prosecute pro-lifers. Will this DOJ be successful in prosecuting agitators who disrupt a place of worship? I guess we're going to have to find that out. But here's what Miss Dillon had to say. Watch this.
Is the strongest evidence against independent journalist Don Lemon his own words and streaming videos?
You keep calling him a journalist. I'm not going to stipulate to that. But yes, as this was unfolding that day, I happened to be perpetually online myself. I'd look for civil rights cases online, and I saw this. And I was horrified. And there are hours and hours of this content. And the content includes, for the conspiracy charges, and this is laid out in the indictment, all of the pregame activities, call it the tailgating activities of bringing donuts and coffee and kissing some of the fellow conspirators, and then telling the camera he's going to turn off his camera and microphone temporarily so as not to reveal the intent of his co-conspirators as they're gathered outside. And there's a reference to a first wave, and they're videotaping the people who are going to go in and play dead, play possum, until the second wave comes in, and then they all jump up. All of that is evidence of a conspiracy.
Well, I guess you guys will have to answer this in the comments section as well. Do you even believe Don Lemon is a journalist? Did he act as a journalist every step of the way during that disruption? Or do you believe he's an activist? And the other question, too, is do you believe this is a slippery slope from the Justice Department to go after him? Now, it's my own personal opinion that he should not have did what he did. If he was going to report on the matter, he should have stayed at the entrance. Now, let's go to Victor Davis Hanson, and here's what he had to say about it. Watch this.
Don Lemon is self-incriminating. He's on tape talking about with the leaders of this demonstration. And I think even before that day that it actually occurred, the violence. And the way he talks and refers to himself, he sees himself as integral to that demonstration. And so if you don't arrest, prosecute, indict, prosecute Don Lemon, you're basically saying that people, because he said so, he said he had a First Amendment right, free speech. So what he didn't say was, I, Don Lemon, and now to proclaim myself a journalist.
Okay, I agree with Victor. And to be, again, consistent here, I don't support anyone going into any church, whether it's a mosque, a Baptist church, a temple, call it whatever you want. Stay away, okay? If you want to protest and push a narrative, do it outside. I mean, it's just common sense. However, small businesses in Minneapolis don't even care about what happened at the church. What they continue to do is claim that ICE agents are putting small businesses out of business. Watch this.
Our businesses are short-staffed, short-changed, and overextended. We're providing mutual aid at the expense of our own stability, our own families, our own paychecks, and our own futures. My co-founder and I stopped by a restaurant on our street and ended up filling to-go orders for them because more than 50% of his staff is gone, afraid to come to work for fear of being taken by ICE, even as U.S. citizens, even with work permits, even with the right paperwork. My friend Jason from Hikari Hand Rolls lost thousands when fresh bluefin tuna was delivered and sat outside for 2 days while his building remained closed as ICE invaded Nicollet. The cost of supplies continues to rise while he's lost 80% of revenue in the last month.
Now, as someone who's owned a restaurant before, my brother and I, it's a tough business. You're operating on slim margins, which begs the question, why would you be hiring people who are undocumented? It's a risk that you take. Business in general is a risk. Again, suicidal empathy here and a lack to enforce our immigration laws is a problem. And if they want undocumented people working for businesses, then they should march down to Congress and protest against them to change the laws to support that. That's the thing that's missed often with this nonsense. Now, this takes us to the next clip supporting why, as conservatives, we are so against illegal immigration. And my question again is, what should we be more outraged about? A small business who has hired undocumented migrants going out of business, or an innocent American citizen driving down the road and getting killed by an illegal immigrant? Watch this.
Another illegal immigrant truck driver accused in a deadly crash in Indiana. It killed 4 people. The driver reportedly entered the United States under President Biden using the CBP One app and released on parole. Senior correspondent Mike Tobin has this tragic story. Hi, Mike.
And sadly, Dana, it's another case of someone who entered the U.S. under Biden administration policies, went to a sanctuary state, got a license to get behind a big rig, and now someone is hurt or killed. It happened in Indiana on Tuesday. One truck on State Road 67 slowed down. The truck behind him did not, instead swerved into oncoming traffic. The truck hit a van transporting 4 men from Indiana's Amish community. The 4 men were killed. The driver of that van is now in critical condition. Indiana State Police report the driver of the semi-truck is 30-year-old Bezkan Beshiki from Kazakhstan. He entered the U.S. using the Biden administration CBP One cell phone app, and that was in December of 23. Beshikiev was issued a commercial driver's license by the state of Pennsylvania.
And this is at the heart of my main pushback to people against the crackdown on illegal aliens in our country. This immigration enforcement operation en masse by the Trump administration. If you're against that, you got to be against this too then, right? You don't want innocent people being killed, right? I mean, it's crazy how certain lives matter and others don't. Selective outrage, morally conflicted. Okay, that's what's happening in our society. And I hope by showing people the full picture, they can think much more clearly about what's really going on here. Now, of course, there was a reaction to this crash, which I think was so disconnected from reality, but it came from Governor Shapiro himself. Listen to this.
Governor Josh Shapiro issued a statement to Fox News saying Bezkan Beshikiev had legal status when he got his license and is still legal on the database. Quote, Kristi Noem should focus on minding shop in her own agency as her incompetence and operational failures seem to be matching the scale of her moral failures. Now, with the Indiana case, the Hoosier State cooperates with ICE. The driver was handed over in the jail. Beshikiev is now in federal custody.
Yeah, I think the bottom line here is all lives matter. Is that a racist thing to say? You see, the lives that are continuing to be killed by illegal aliens is an issue, and it's something that should not be ignored. And if we're going to give all of our attention to Alex Preddy and Renee Good, which we should, these are American citizens who were killed. I have no issue with that. We should be giving the same amount of energy to these souls who are not as famous as Alex Purdy, if that makes sense. Now let's go to our next story, and this is all about the president. He has officially come out and condemned the video that we know pissed off not only black liberals, but the media, and has left a lot of people morally conflicted, if you know what I mean. Here's what I have to say about it, and that is selective outrage. It wasn't too long ago that President Biden told black people they were not black unless they voted for him. Okay? No outrage there. No calling Joe Biden a racist for those remarks. It wasn't too often ago where Michelle Obama says she refuses to shop at white-owned businesses. So if we're going to call the president racist, can we be consistent then? That means Joe Biden is racist, right? Let's just be consistent with it. I wonder, will they actually do that? But here's the other thing. If you're watching this and you expect me to be upset about what happened, you might as well click off, because I'm not. I want to be consistent as I practically can morally. I'm not upset about what happened in Minneapolis, where white liberals on the ground are calling ICE agents the N-word. Why? Because I don't want to give that word any meaning. So I'm not upset. I see it for what it is. It's peak ignorance. So why would I be upset about an honest mistake? I believe it was an honest mistake. Maybe you don't. But if you don't think it is, are you consistent in your moral standard? Are you applying that standard across the entire political spectrum? That's the question I demand people to answer, especially the loudest ones in the room, starting with Hakeem Jeffries. Watch this.
Well, his behavior is disgusting, and the response has been disgusting. And so, of course, everyday Americans, myself included, are disgusted by it all. And I felt compelled to communicate that in the most clear-throated way possible. Now, the president right now should own up to his mistake. He should apologize. And perhaps most importantly, he should pledge to do better. I mean, we should be bringing the country together. Instead, this guy continues to try to tear us apart. And there's no justification for it. And his behavior, of course, is unacceptable, it's unconscionable, and it's un-American.
Okay, well, we'll hear what the president had to say here. But just to address Hakeem Jeffries here, we know he's not the person you go to for moral clarity. We know he plays the game just like everybody else. A lot of this is performative. And now even there is this idea that people purposely sabotage the president here. Maybe the staffer did it intentionally. Who knows? At the end of the day, what's done is done. The video's deleted, and the president had this to say.
No, I looked at it, I saw it, and I just looked at the first part. It was about voter fraud in someplace, Georgia. There was a lot of voter fraud, 2020 voter fraud. And I didn't see the whole thing. I guess during the end of it, there was some kind of a picture that people don't like. I wouldn't like it either, but I didn't see it. I looked at the first part, and it was really about voter fraud in and the machines, how crooked it is, how disgusting it is. Then I gave it to the people. Generally, they look at the whole thing, but I guess somebody didn't, and they posted, and we took it down, and we turned it, you know. But that was a voter fraud that nobody talks about. They don't like to talk about that post. We took it down as soon as we found out about it.
At the very least, do you condemn the racist parts of the video?
Of course I do. Yeah.
Now that you heard what the president had to say, do you think that's good enough for you morally? You know, because that's really the question. I don't think it's good enough for anybody out there who has Trump derangement. Says it doesn't even matter if he dropped to his knees and was crying and said, "I am sorry." It'll never be good enough. That's number one. Number two, according to Hakeem Jeffries, the president is the one seeking to divide us. Okay. And he's the one with these crazy comments. Okay. Well, how do you explain the video that Hakeem Jeffries put up yesterday when he said this?
This disgusting video posted by the so-called president was done intentionally. Donald Trump and his vile, racist, and malignant behavior. This guy is an unhinged bottom feeder. It's time for John Thune, Mike Johnson, and Republicans to denounce this serial fraudster who's sitting at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue pretending to be the president of the United States.
So here's my next question for you. If you believe the president of the United States should apologize, should Hakeem Jeffries apologize for saying F the president? I mean, this is an elected member of Congress, people. A minority leader, might I add you. Okay. Could be the House Speaker, technically, if everything works out the way history says, by the end of this year. So, that's why I said it's selective outrage, a lack of consistency, and performative. Anybody telling you anything else besides that, I don't think they're being very genuine with you. You guys let me know if you see it the same way. All right, let's go to this particular angle. Watch this.
I mean, look, I think it was an inappropriate video. I'm glad that he took it down. I wish he would apologize. Hopefully he still will. But it was clear that he posted about 30 Truth Socials, and this moment came at the end of a minute-long clip. So I think everything that you brought up is super important, but I don't think that posting a video where there's 1 second where he likely didn't even see that part is the same or equivocal. And I don't think that you can say that he's racist because of one of 30 Truth Social posts that he posted last night.
But I don't think it's just the Truth Social post. I mean, it's definitely not just the Truth Social post.
And that final point from Abby Phillips explains why I do my videos the way that I do and why I like to show you guys both sides, because it shows you that inherently they believe he is racist. Doesn't matter what he does. They've already made up their minds. And the American people are faced with a conundrum here. You do have a president who is not the status quo and does things unconventionally and says things that he's thinking about. And that obviously puts people off, or it makes people uncomfortable. Someone who's telling you the blunt truth of things. And as a result, American people, some of them get caught up in the propaganda. And what they don't understand is that these aren't people being good faith in their criticism with the president. These are people who have made it their life's mission to destroying him. You guys want to see an example of that? Watch this.
Yeah, if I was going to speak directly to the president right now, I would say you are at the end of your career. And when you are gone, I will spend the rest of mine working to undo your legacy, and I won't be alone. There will be millions of people who work to take your name off of everything until one day I might have the privilege to sit in the Renee Good Hotel and Spa in the Alex Preddy Lounge, and I will sit back and I will thank Donald Trump for everything he built. That's what I would say.
All right, so let's get your guys' thoughts in the comments section below. First, the big update regarding Don Lemon. Hopefully they're successful in using the FACE Act to bring a legitimate prosecution and deliver a conviction against him. Let me know if you guys agree with that. Secondly, yeah, that clip I just showed you, I mean, I think that sums up the problem in America. People truly have hatred for the president, and they're willing to stake their entire existence on it. And the problem with that is we can't look at these people for moral clarity, but there's a lot of people who are. Let me know if you see it the same way. Give me your thoughts and everything you got in the comments section below. All right, our next story involves the Democrat governor of Virginia continuing to turn on her own voters. She's already facing backlash, by the way. She is pushing a new amendment to redistrict the state, including bring back same-sex marriages, allowing felons to vote in elections, and abortion up to the moment of birth. If you guys missed out on that story and more, all you have to do is click on that video because it's coming up right now.